here. Welcome everybody who's joining us here today to this very special Zero Emission Truck Forum. I want to point out why we're doing this. I think it's really important to always come back to why we are so focused on this. Diesel is a twofer for us. One, it is a significant portion of the 40% of transportation GHGs, the 40% of GHGs that come from the transportation sector. And at the same time, it is over 60% by itself. Diesel is over 60% of the toxic risk experienced from air pollution, from criteria pollutants. So not only does it impact the globe in terms of climate change, but it also impacts our communities with the pollution that is happening in all of the hotspots up and down the state. This is the start of something big. Project 800 is an initiative to support 800 orders for zero-emission drayage trucks by the end of this year, 2021. Today, we're going to discuss the key elements that will be part of achieving this goal, including a robust portfolio of incentives to support those orders, the manufacturers that will build the trucks, and the infrastructure to support them. The fleets that are ready to place the orders, and our most burdened communities, as I mentioned, that will benefit from that healthier air. Project 800 is about action right now in 2021, but it is really just the start. There are 30,000 drayage trucks in California, part of our overall population of about 2 million trucks. So in addition to supporting the first 800 orders of this year, we're also planning to go beyond Project 800. It is just a start. We're ready to work in collaboration with a diverse set of stakeholders to build from lessons learned and envision new incentive models that address the needs of all fleets, including smaller businesses and owner-operators that depend on their truck for their livelihood. We want to get truckers in these zero-emission trucks. California has the largest economy of any U.S. state. We hear it all the time. We're the 5th largest economy in the world if we were our own country. We are a leader in manufacturing and deploying zero-emission technologies and infrastructure, but we also have some of the most challenging air pollution problems, especially in the LA Basin and the Inland Empire and the Central Valley. And in other parts of California as well. Don't want to leave anybody out, but those 3 areas are clearly the worst. Transforming our truck fleet to zero emission, including battery electric and hydrogen fuel cell technologies, is an opportunity to build our economy, create jobs, and address emissions from the transportation sector. As I mentioned previously, one of the biggest contributors to air pollution and greenhouse gases. This is a critical transformation period for zero-emission truck technologies. We have an opportunity today to aggressively support these trucks and embark on the path toward meeting Governor Newsom's executive order that sets the goal of 100% medium and heavy-duty vehicles being zero-emission by 2045 for all feasible trucking operations, and specifically for drayage trucks by 2035. 100% of new drayage trucks will be zero emission by 2035. The passenger vehicle sector got a lot of attention when he announced that executive order, but it also included trucks. It also calls for medium and heavy duty vehicle regulations requiring increasing volumes of new zero emission trucks and buses sold and operated in the state. By focusing on the deployment of zero-emission trucks serving California ports and setting a goal of 800 zero-emission drayage truck orders by the end of 2021, we are jump-starting the sector while building on the technology advancement and the momentum that we have gained in the last couple of years. It is no longer something in the near future. It is now. The momentum, based on California's commitment to zero-emission technologies and collaboration with industry, has made zero-emission technologies increasingly available to meet the needs of fleets. Today, major heavy-duty truck manufacturers, not just startups, are offering new zero-emission Class 8 trucks in the commercial market and are ready to take orders, with more models becoming available in the next 18 months or so. Setting the goal of 800 zero-emission truck orders in 2021 is possible because of progress that manufacturers and their supply chains have made to advance the technology, along with public investments to demonstrate readiness in a number of different applications. We at CARB and our sister agencies, the Energy Commission, the PUC, and others have been part of this effort. Our first demonstration projects showcase zero-emission technologies in smaller trucks and lower weight classes, with the vision that technology continues to advance and transfer to larger trucks with more challenging duty cycles. Nearly 10 years ago, CARB supported the development and deployment of the first 3 zero-emission school buses. In the 10 years since, we have worked with local air districts and state funding partners to demonstrate over 500 vehicles and freight equipment, along with the infrastructure to support them. And nearly all of those projects are benefiting priority, underserved, impacted communities. Those projects are the result of over $350 million appropriated by the Legislature for California Climate Investments, a statewide initiative that has put billions of cap and trade dollars to work, reducing greenhouse gas emissions and reducing pollutants, strengthening the economy and improving public health and the environment, particularly in disadvantaged communities. Today, we're building on the success of these past investments. For the first time ever, CARB and the California Energy Commission have teamed up on a joint solicitation to deploy zero-emission drayage trucks at scale. That solicitation is currently open, and we anticipate it will help support 100 zero-emission drayage trucks, along with the infrastructure needed to support them. Also, all of the major OEMs involved with our demonstration projects have Class 8 zero-emission trucks certified by CARB and eligible for incentive funding from the Hybrid and Zero-Emission Voucher Incentive Project, or HVIP. Speaking of incentive funding, demand for clean heavy-duty vehicles has increased significantly in the last few years. HVIP, our most popular heavy-duty advanced technology incentive program, has already supported over 2,000 zero-emission trucks and buses totaling over $250 million. Unfortunately, many of you already know that HVIP has not been accepting new voucher requests for over a year due to unprecedented demand and limited funding. I'm happy to report today that we anticipate the reopening of HVIP for new funding requests in April. So get your pencils and paper out and start jotting down how you're going to apply for those funds. In support of the Project 800 effort, we just approved the new Clean Transportation Funding Plan last month, adding new funding and new policies for HVIP to encourage and support zero-emission drayage trucks this year. Our portfolio of incentive programs includes not just HVIP, though. It also includes the Volkswagen Environmental Mitigation Trust, the Carl Moyer Program, the Community Air Protection Program, along with complementary federal and local programs. So today's forum also has an eye toward what happens beyond Project 800. To be clear, Project 800 is open to all seaport drayage fleets, large and small, throughout California. But we also know that smaller fleets have unique needs, not always aligned with today's incentives. Moving forward, we have an opportunity to evolve and expand our programs, to develop more incentive models, to increase partnerships, and find ways to connect with fleets and truck owners that we haven't reached yet. We need your help to spread the word. We need to focus on helping smaller owner-operator fleets, which make up about a third of all fleets in California. This will be a priority for truck number 801 and beyond. And we will be talking about that today throughout the program. I also want to highlight a promising piece of federal legislation by Congressman Alan Lowenthal of Long Beach, the National Multimodal and Sustainable Freight Infrastructure Act, which would raise approximately $10 billion at the federal level that would target transportation infrastructure, trucks, and fueling and charging stations. It's an innovative piece of legislation that would put us all on the same footing. Every state, every port would be on the same footing. All shippers, both trucking and rail, would be impacted with this program. Again, the National Multimodal and Sustainable Freight Infrastructure Act. It's just a bill right now, but hoping to get it into whatever the infrastructure plan is for the new Biden administration. Incentives have helped to seed the market and show that zero-emission technologies are here today. Costs are coming down, and it works in the field. But we need more than incentives to achieve large-scale transformation. CARB moved forward with zero-emission regulations to expand technology in the commercial space. This started with the Innovative Clean Transit regulation in 2018 that will transition the state's transit fleet to zero emission by 2040. CARB also adopted the zero-emission airport shuttle bus regulation and zero-emission powertrain certification regulations in 2019 to continue to expand the market. In order for the heavy-duty clean truck market to succeed, we need the biggest manufacturers to produce zero-emission trucks. To achieve this goal, CARB adopted the Advanced Clean Trucks regulation this past June. This regulation requires manufacturers to produce and sell medium and heavy-duty ZEVs into California starting in 2024 and ramping up until 2035, when the rule will result in 300,000 zero-emission trucks on California's roads. And again, nothing precludes them from rolling these trucks out sooner, which they're doing. The regulation ensures that manufacturers are making the necessary investments to support a full transition to zero emission in the heavy-duty sector and gives fleets the assurance they will have quality products available from their choice of manufacturers. California will not go it alone. After adopting the ACT regulation, 15 states and the District of Columbia signed a memorandum of understanding to work collaboratively to advance and accelerate the market for electric, medium, and heavy-duty vehicles. The states will work together to set and meet ZEV sales targets and develop an action plan to accelerate electrification. This leads to the Advanced Clean Fleets Rule, which sets the path forward for the next step in zero-emission regulations. This rule complements the Advanced Clean Trucks Rule and will ensure fleets are incorporating ZEVs into their fleets and will be coming to the board for approval at the end of this year. And there's one other value added from a regulatory perspective. For shippers and truckers, zero is the endpoint. CARB won't bother you anymore, and you can therefore run these trucks into the ground. You don't have to worry about us coming along with a new regulation that will make your vehicle obsolete. Zero is the endpoint, and you can use these zero-emission heavy-duty trucks for all of their useful life and amortize your investment accordingly. Lastly, providing benefits to disadvantaged communities and improving community health in some of the most heavily burdened neighborhoods, especially near ports, is an important component of Project 800. Zero-emission trucks and equipment can provide fast and much-needed relief for those living in areas near the ports or other major hubs of transportation. The 800 zero-emission trucks and many more that will be deployed will provide cleaner air, less noise, and help the widespread adoption of zero-emission trucks to reduce susceptibility to respiratory diseases, including asthma, which increases the severity of COVID-19. The COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted our lives, as proven by this meeting that we're having virtually right here, and the entire transportation sector. As our economy recovers, I believe we can accomplish more with Project 800. As we progress today's agenda, I encourage you to think of zero-emission trucks as more than just a truck. There's a manufacturer that years earlier invested millions of dollars to bring these vehicles to market. There's a fleet or an owner that makes a critical purchase decision. There's a driver who depends on it for their livelihood. The same driver might be a resident in the community impacted by diesel emissions and therefore is breathing cleaner air. And with each truck, there's also an opportunity to help build a trained workforce. From the manufacturing and supply chain jobs, the technicians that will maintain the zero-emission trucks, to the experts installing the necessary infrastructure, we can bring high-quality jobs directly to California and our local communities. All of these are important when we think about zero-emission trucks and the purpose of Project 800. For all of these reasons, we need your insights, your experience, and your help today and throughout the year as we shape this effort to get as many of these trucks out there as possible. With a new president and administration that was sworn in yesterday, and a new year, and hopefully overcoming the pandemic, now is the time to build partnerships with manufacturers, fleets, local, state, and federal agencies, and with local communities to pave the way for healthy air and a carbon neutral future. When we look back on what we're doing today, it will mark a key milestone in the transformation of California's trucking sector and a better future for all Californians. It's very important to note that California is in the lead, but we are going to bring others along with us. This is our first step. This is our marker to the rest of the world that it can be done, that this transition can happen now. It's not something, again, in the near future. It is something that we are ready for right now, and we're going to put in all of the effort, all of the incentives, all of the regulations to make it possible. With that, I'm pleased to turn over the program to our next speaker, Bill Van Amberg with CalSTART, which has been a key partner in all of these efforts. He will talk about California's role on the global scale. Bill, take it away.